All right. Doesn't this feel good, huh? Icewind Dale, Rime of the Frostmaiden. Haven't said that in a minute.
We're back, baby.
We
Starting
are back.
over. Session 0.
What are you guys gonna roll up?
Josh is included this time.
Yeah, it turned out we lost. We have to do it all over again.
Well, everybody, I gotta be honest, I missed this. Didn't you? Joe, you were saying this has felt good, right?
Feels good. Feels good to get the band back together.
It really does. Welcome everybody here on YouTube and Twitch. Welcome to Tabletop Bob. This is our very special after the final roll, which is it's my take on what maybe the greatest reality TV show of all time does. The Bachelor, of course. We're talking about The Bachelor. After the entire season is over, they get all the people back. All the men and women that were hoping to win the heart of whoever the person was. And they just humiliate them. It's fantastic. So that's what we're going to do here tonight. We're going to humiliate everybody, me included. All right. There's plenty of things to make fun of for me. If you've seen my DM Pro Tip series, you would know that there's plenty to make fun of. But we're going to talk about everything in the campaign. I got a little bit of a structure here that I failed to share with everybody else. But I swear, there's like some thoughts going on. I promise. I do want to start with a recap of the finale. We'll talk about that first, and then kind of talk about the storylines throughout the entirety of the campaign. Get into questions, both you all, the players, right, as well as the viewers. If there's anybody here in the chat that wants to ask a question, get their burning questions answered, and then maybe like a final thoughts, wrapping things up. So that's the way I want to go about this. And welcome everybody here. I'm just checking. Yes, nice. Ageless Rumor. Yes, Mrs. Crew. Brian's here as well.
Hey.
Oh, I didn't load up Twitch. Whoops. So Twitch, sorry if you're watching and you're talking, but I didn't see you. So let's do this, everybody. Let's introduce ourselves, perhaps for the final time. Why don't we go around? Tell us who we played in this campaign, Joey. As you eat a chip.
Caught me
Great
mid
timing.
I'm sorry.
I didn't even see it because I'm looking on Twitch now and there's a delay. So great. Excellent.
Okay. I played, sadly, Rogal V2, Dragonborn Paladin, thought himself to be evil after eating some people, ultimately redeemed himself through his noble character.
Yep, that's exactly it. And there's nothing to add or contribute.
Nothing
That's
to add.
Rogal.
There's just eating people and then good person.
That was his whole arc.
There was a bit of a redemption arc. We'll talk about it in a second. Let's go to CJ.
Greetings, friends. I was Edmund Brycine, friend to all the people of the 10 towns as I finished the campaign. But I was once friend only to elf and man. Wink.
Love it. Blink at the end.
Blink. Wink.
Oh, the one-eyed
The half elven.
Edmund.
Oh, yes. The one-eyed,
The one-eyed
Edmund Brycine. I'm going to go get that Eye of Vecna. Don't worry.
I'm sure he is. Sure he is. Stefano?
Hey guys, I'm dead.
For the second time.
Double dead. I'm pretty sure, again, double check it, but I think I was the first and last death of 2021.
Ooh.
Oh.
Ooh, that's an interesting one. I was about to say no, because Everard died, but you're right. That was in 2020.
I think it was.
Yeah.
So anyway, I played the short-lived short-lived bard named Flare, who will be remembered forever as Solar Flare, and the longer-lived Julius, who will be forgotten forever as he was pounded into an icy death over and over and over again.
And we'll talk all about that too. And then last of the crew, of the Icewind Dale crew, the core group, we have Andrew.
So I was 2 characters. I'm Everard. I was really hard till javelin went through my throat. As pesky dwarfs fell down dead. And then I was Elias Dawnstrider, cleric of Lathander, spiritual leader of the Three Musketeers. He was a human
it.
cleric.
I love it. I missed all those introductions. I missed hearing Edmund Brycene winking. I missed that. I missed the spiritual leader of the group. I missed Rogal rambling about.
forgetting to introduce himself completely.
Yeah.
And me complaining.
I miss the Julius, like we hadn't had it in a while because Julius, his arc took him to a sort of like a real dark place, but that bright and hopeful Julius, the fun and wanted to be everybody's friend Julius, I missed that. But I missed all of them. Those introductions every week were so awesome, and it really, you guys did a great job bringing your characters to life. And we do have one more introduction, and that is Dasha, who you didn't play the entirety of the campaign with us, but you were in and out multiple times, and it felt like you were your character was there throughout the entirety of the campaign too. So Dasha, who did you play?
I played Vellynne Harpel, who was a member of the Arcane Brotherhood, a human wizard, and I'm sure you missed this wonderful accent she had and her kind of cranky attitude sometimes.
Yes, we did. And her kobolds. CJ really misses them.
Yeah, of course.
Love kobolds. It's spilling into like all of my characters now.
It really is. You've just become a kobold hater.
I have become a kobold hater.
What is this prejudice, CJ?
I'll have to play as a kobold at some point.
You'll hate yourself. It'll be great.
Yeah. It'll be good.
Just suicidal kobold.
Yeah.
Oh.
If you could play a depressed kobold, that would be good.
That'd be great.
I'm depressed because I am a kobold.
So you just play a kobold.
I could be like a kobold who is like someone who is like reincarnated as like a reincarnation spell.
Ooh.
And then reincarnated
as a kobold. I hate kobold.
Like, this is what I ended up.
Do I smell a dual character bill, or just playing two characters for the next rank amateurs?
Oh, maybe.
You could play two. Xerox and the Kobold. It'd be like Eli or Andrew when he played in my Blood Lament campaign. He played as Bentley and his other character, Fantace.
I miss Bentley as well. Talking about missing people. I
felt like he was great. That was a great character.
I was really getting to know him.
I feel like we're gonna have to we're gonna have to revisit every campaign at some point. All right, so let's talk about Icewind Dale, Rime of the Frostmaiden. Let's start at the end, like Quentin Tarantino, and talk about the finale. We had an epic 4-hour long finale. I think it was roughly 4 hours if you don't include maybe some of the introduction and wait screen, but 4+ hours. We played on December 21st of 2021, which was the winter solstice. I mean, you can't really write that better. And I think it went. I also, one disclaimer, I made a video of my DM prep for that episode. Did anybody watch it?
No.
I watched it, and I thought it was funny that you had such plans for the Red Weatherhead wizard, and then Stefano just totally stabbed her right at the start, and you must have been like, "Oh, my plans."
So if you watched it,
I don't know. I thought you were spot on with the analysis of the Tarrasque and what could happen with that.
Oh yeah, that was
that was really good.
I was impressed.
Well.
In fact, it was pretty late, but I did watch it immediately right after.
Oh, you did? You watched it right after?
I did.
Oh, that must have been interesting. I feel like if you watched it right after, with everything so fresh, it might be better. Watching it afterwards, you might only remember, maybe certain parts of the game. So that was interesting. You watched it right after. The planning session for that, if you haven't watched it, I'll link it down below eventually. But I had kind of like contingency plans for different things. There were maybe like 4 endings in total. Let's go through how it actually ended, and then we can ask questions about it. So let's recap. So at the end, basically the structure went: you were in Irilarthus's tower. You fought against Irilarthus. It wasn't going well. You fled. But like you said, Julius made sure you had like a coup de grace on Avarice before leaving the tower. So Avarice was taken out immediately. Then you headed down, you dealt with Cephalic Caltro. You dealt with him pretty promptly. That was a pretty easy combat.
Cephalic was a little anticlimactic.
Between
Even though you gave him lots of pluses to hit, because apparently we're too hard to hit. I remember you was talking about in your thing. I was like, yeah, I'm going to make him like +7 because they're really hard to hit. I was quite flattered by that.
Here's another thing to think about. You very easily could have TPK'd if you stayed and tried to fight Iriel Arthas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So getting out and having that little extra combat was just more of like a annoyance, but I definitely thought Cephalic would have at least hit somebody. Like he didn't even make contact.
He must have been tired that day.
I don't know.
Between Cephalic and that, is that when Rogal decided to break the Staff of Power?
Yes.
Oh yeah, that was one of the ultimate bits of the campaign.
The ultimate. Like, what are you doing?
So if you look in the book, it literally reads, if the player attempts to break it, and like they give you like 2 examples, like hitting it with a weapon or snapping it over your knee.
Yep.
Literally. And you went for that method. Staff of Power basically blows up, and depending on how many charges is in it, which I think it was like 10 or 12 at the time, which is it was like close to max. It was at max, I mean. And then if you're within like every 20 feet or something like that, it basically does even more damage. It like multiplies the damage. So if you were close to it, it did like 120 damage. And I think the only reason, Edmund, you survived because you had evasion.
Mm-hmm.
And who else was in that blast?
I wasn't, but I got warped into another reality where the blast did not affect me.
It's a 50-50, Joey. It's a 50-50. I rolled it. It was a 50-50.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That
was
there's
bad.
a couple staffs like that around.
Luke was in it.
Yeah, Luke got downed instantly.
Luke almost died. He needed like 10 more hit points and he would have been dead.
Luke, honestly, it's honestly incredible that Luke survived.
It is.
Yeah, I can't believe that he survived. I was so sure he was going to die.
Mm-hmm.
Luke is a great character. We can talk more about him.
Talk more about
Luke. We talk about.
So after getting out of the tower, you encountered the Mythalar at the whole point of this campaign was to get the Mythalar to end the winter. You had a showdown with Iriel Arthas was coming down, and the Tarrasque was summoned. Who summoned the Tarrasque?
I did.
You did, okay.
Yes.
So you summoned the Tarrasque, and then all hell broke loose. Literally, Iriel was trying to get out of the way while her minions took the Tarrasque on. You all were fighting Iriel Arthas. I think Lathander, right? You KO'd.
He got a critical hit on Iriel Arthas.
It seems like whenever you were facing a boss, you had a critical hit.
Oh, that's the power of Lathander. I was blessed of Lathander. I really started to actually believe in Lathander because literally Zardarok, that Scrimshaw guy, to banish him, I got a critical, and then I got a critical at Iriel Arthas.
Yeah.
I was like, this is crazy. Like, what if this is real?
Oh god, it was great. And then eventually the Frostmaiden. You fought the Frostmaiden. She did take down a couple of people a few times, and then she pounded Julius into oblivion.
An icy death.
She really didn't like Julius.
She didn't. And then after the dust cleared, you killed Iriel. She was banished away to wherever she had to go because she's a demigod, right? So she had to be banished off till the next winter. She even mentioned something like that she might be back next winter, and then she's gone, and you have to deal with the Tarrasque. And then how did you deal with the Tarrasque? I know there were a couple of ideas at the end.
We ran away.
Well, we ran away, and then we got to the ice bridge to go into the Caves of Hunger, but the Caves of Hunger had caved in, so we couldn't get away. So we're on the other side of the ice bridge, and I believe Elias had the idea to use the spell that Avarice was going to use to take that super magical item to demon god Levaticus. Instead, get him to grab the Tarrasque and pull it down into hell. But we needed some blood, and I was going to use. Elias wanted to use Luke, but Rogal, you had other thoughts, right?
I was like, hell no.
So why did you What went through your mind when you decided that we would sacrifice your blood?
Rogal was genuinely like, what the hell am I doing here? But he absolutely, under no circumstance, could he have let Luke do that. Like, Luke had way more to lose. He's younger, the rest of his life to live. Rogal's eating people.
He's old.
He's old.
So you just were like, I'm gonna sacrifice myself so Luke could live.
Yeah.
It was not even a thought in your mind. It was just, you're not gonna let Luke die here.
Yeah, exactly.
Luke would have done it on just letting you know, he would have done it as well. So if you, let's say Rogal had died earlier, it was just the two of you, he would have done it. Would you have let him do it, CJ?
Luke?
Yeah. At the end.
That would have been very difficult. I don't think I would have.
It's just CJ and Luke.
Yeah, I don't think Edmund would
Elias, Edmund, and Luke.
I don't think Edmund would let Luke sacrifice himself. Edmund would have said, "I'll do it," because I think
you gave him a hard time.
Edmund had once already tried to sacrifice himself to save everybody.
True. That's
easy
true.
to say that now.
It is easy to say that now.
So that's the finale. That's how it went. You cast that ritual spell off of the scroll. You were able to basically teleport the Tarask into hell with Levistus. So that's fun for Levistus.
I do want to say, like, it did come down to a blessing of Lathander roll.
It did.
At the very end.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It did.
That was cool.
I wanted to make sure that no matter what happened, there was a roll to determine the outcome. If you watch the prep video, I basically set it up so that it can be done permanently, no matter what. Like, you can get it done, but for you to get out, there would need to be a roll, and you made it. It was acrobatics or dexterity.
Yeah, it was dex,
which you're not really great at. But
no, actually, I was great at every save. My lowest roll for a save was 9 or +9.
Yeah. Also, you did end up seeing Vellynne right at the end. She was one of the Nothics.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Julius was like, "I'll kill her."
I think I was already dead.
No, you explicitly
you
moved into position, used Thunderwave, and like caught her in the crossfire.
You killed her on purpose, yeah.
Yeah.
Julius was on a rampage in this finale.
Julius was like a beast the whole time.
Did I specifically kill her, or did I use an area of did I use an area of effect magic spell that juiced caught in the blast?
You could have easily not targeted
Does
her.
it matter, Julius?
Oh,
how
no.
you killed her?
You wanted to kill her.
You killed her.
Express a want to kill her.
That
All I
arcane
needed
brotherhood
to do was 5
sucks.
lay on hand points.
All right, so the end of the finale was basically getting back to town and dealing with the aftermath. There was a speakers meeting where it seems like Nerth had taken a bit of control with organizing the cleanups of the 10 towns because 5 had been destroyed. But they all seem to listen to you and have an audience with you. It's kind of open-ended, the ending, because obviously there's no content post the finale in the book, but I would imagine that if they had continued on, it would have been more political intrigue, you versus Nerth and the Zentarum, for who's going to really control Icewind Dale, and maybe even the Dwergar if they don't keep their word. But it would be kind of like a 3-faction kind of control over Icewind Dale, and that's where I left it. And I'm actually glad the campaign kind of ends here. Not that you could spin, you can keep this going, right? We could have kept it going if we wanted to. Could have gone off the book.
There was plenty of stuff to do with Luke.
Yep.
And in the wilderness, and more stuff probably on Solstice, and there's gotta be little adventures in all of the other towns rebuilding.
It's funny you say that, the wilderness stuff. There are like a ton of wilderness things that we never got to. Like, it just didn't come up. We never got to that part of Icewind Dale. The map was pretty big. There was a whole goblin tribe that I alluded to. Xerox was kind of a part of that goblin tribe in the beginning of his arc. It's called Karkaloke. There's also a Goliath, 2 Goliath cities in the mountains. There's a frost giant ruin, Jarlmut. There's a lot of things in this book that we never got to. But one of the things with this book is this was so big. There's so many different types of ways you could have gone in this campaign, depending which town you started in. So that's how the game ended. Let's talk about some of our characters. Let's talk about the overall themes of the story and how our characters fit into it. Let's start with everyone's favorite leader of the group, Edmund Brycine. Ed, what do you think about Edmund's journey?
I was trying to. So, Edmund, I think, had a very good journey through this for himself. I tried really hard to not change him up until like we were really getting to the end of the story. Like, I didn't want the character to like have changed too much too soon, so that when he did really change, it was closer to the end. He was much more aware of the world and had kind of grown more, had seen a lot more, and couldn't really ignore all of the things that he went through. So by the time when he was leaving Solstice, that was when he was about to sacrifice himself. That was kind of the first time, I think, when he said that he was friend to all the people of the 10 towns. And he was trying really hard. And even I think that was after the Chardalyn dragon attack, when he had seen all of the stuff that and the destruction, and he really needed to not just be for the elves and humans that he was, he himself being half elf was part elf, part human. He wanted to really work for everyone because he saw Trex's sacrifice, the kobold sacrifices, the all the other people. I'm sure
still hated the kobolds.
Still didn't really like the kobolds. He grew a little bit to it. Again, he grew a little bit. He said all the people of the 10 towns. He didn't say all the people of the 10 towns except the kobolds, which he very clearly.
It was implied.
It was implied.
It wasn't implied.
It wasn't said specific.
It wasn't explicit, which is.
It wasn't explicit.
That's one level below.
It was implicit.
But Vellynne knew. She knew.
She knew.
She always knows.
Yeah.
I do have a question.
Yes.
Did Edmund have some like anti-draconic bias towards Rogal?
No,
Okay.
not at all.
He just had anti-Rogal bias.
The anti-Rogal bias because Rogal was an accused murderer.
Is that why?
Allegedly.
He was an alleged murderer when he met him. And Rogal, Rogal was also the reason for the Three Musketeers growing into this troop of 4 people, and he was so happy. Like in the first episode, Edmund is walking with Fladrian and Everard, and he says, "I'm so glad us 3, the Three Musketeers, will be together forever. Just us 3. Nothing else will change." I believe it's something he says in the first episode.
Yeah.
And then Rogal ruins everything.
The other 2 die.
The other 2 die immediately.
And it's just Rogal.
And he's stuck.
Well, I do think Edmund had a nice arc. Like he did grow and change for the better. And I'm really glad that he didn't actually sacrifice himself. I think he's the character that, because he persevered, I think the group really, he was like the original, he was like the one from the start. He's like he's like the Jon Snow, that sort of like, he's been there from the beginning and he made it. Like if you were gone, all the Three Musketeers, original ones, would have been dead. I mean, yeah, Rogal was there from the beginning too, obviously, but he was sort of the outsider. I'm happy he died. I'm happy he died. Sorry. I'm happy he lived.
Happy he lived.
But I got to be honest with you. I am happy that Edmund lived. Although I thought I just put a poll up because I thought, and I said this in the prep session, that I thought if there was someone to die, it's you, because there are so many high damage things that could happen that you are probably the easiest to kill. like by accident, right? It just could happen. Rogal blowing the thing up, that could have killed you, but not him. So it depends.
Also, you
on
had
what-
like 3 hit points
Evasion.
Yeah, you had like no hit points the whole time.
yeah, you were hurting.
at the start of the episode. I think you had like 9 or 3 or something terrible.
I think I had 9. Evasion and the other thing. Very good rogue skills to not take damage.
Yeah, the one where
uncanny
you,
dodge.
yeah,
and
uncanny
evasion.
dodge. Yep.
You did lose an eye though.
Did lose an eye.
Yeah.
That was a well worth the sacrifice. He gets to wear an eye patch now. He's gonna go find that Eye of Vecna. It's gonna be great.
I have one last question for personally about Edmund. How were you upset at all? What was your response to Avarice dying? Because you had that, you used your background on her early in the campaign. She was your what was it called? Old Flame?
Yes.
Yeah.
CJ as a person is upset that we did not get to explore more of the Avarice Edmund dynamic near the end. However, I totally understand it. And Edmund, I think he really was unconscious when Julius stabbed her to death and she coughed up blood and died. So he can't really tell for sure that Julius killed her. And if he knew that Julius killed her, Julius is dead. So all's fair.
True.
Now he doesn't have anyone to seek revenge on. So it's good.
Yeah.
Like she's dead, but you know what? The guy who killed her is dead. So
Fair enough.
it's all done. Washed. It's all a wash. Doesn't have to do anything about it. Doesn't have to learn the truth. He can always have his own little head canon
That's
of
true.
she died
Yep.
fighting Arvea the
Iriolarthus.
Iriolarthus. Arvea Churus is the
dragon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Iriolarthus.
But now
guy fighting-
Edmund is edgy now with his new eye patch, and he can go find himself a new flame.
Yes. Gonna start a pirate band. Band of
Yeah.
pirates.
Yeah.
There's
Yep.
many
Sailing
fish
the-
in the sea of moving ice.
They're all
They're
knucklehead trout, though.
They're all knucklehead
Yeah.
Oh god.
on the Mayor de Walden.
That's right. All right, so talk about dragons. Let's shift over to everyone's favorite paladin, Rogal, the master
thought
of
you were-
Leonans.
I thought you were gonna say Minsk.
No Minsk. No Minsk. Rogal,
Yes.
tell us about your journey, your arc.
All right, so Rogal started like pretty roughly, like 2 people. Found himself
8.
wandering an icy wasteland.
By the way, just want to pause you. The poll that I have up says that most people thought that you would have died in the finale over anybody. 57% Rogal.
See, here's the thing. I'm shocked Rogal didn't die.
Well, he should have gone to hell. Really, he was very lucky.
He was.
Like Rogal was honestly just like face checked way too many things. To like not to have survived, but he somehow just managed to get lucky by the blessings of Lathander and insane aura of courage.
You did become a follower, huh?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Towards the end, well, once I found out that like Lathander was all about like a redemption,
Yeah.
sort of.
Do you all remember? Do you all remember when we had our pre-session 0, and Joey was like, "I want to play a paladin, but I want to be an atheist." Remember this?
Yeah,
he had
yeah.
no intention of following a god or a religion, and I think it kind of just came so naturally that it worked out really perfect for him.
He was
Yeah,
in need of
no.
redemption.
Well, yes. Well, I had an idea that like he was just some like like sword for hire, just trying to make his way in this world. Maybe he believed in some sort of paladin schooling, at some point. But
Schooling.
some paladin
Paladin school.
training, schooling. He took out a loan.
The CCD.
took a semester off. And then sort of like found himself in like a really dark, messed up place. Being white dragonborn, with the chromatic, or is that what they're called? The
Yep.
chromatic dragons are like evil or something, and the
Typically.
metallic ones are.
Typically, yes.
That is correct.
Yeah. So he's like, I'm probably already kind of evil, given that like, I come from this draconic ancestor.
Mhm.
And then just, I feel like he himself viewing himself as like sort of like a monster allowed him to like empathize with other monsters.
With the monsters.
Like, yes, he was like, well, if I can redeem myself, like, why can't this hag?
So many wasted lay on hands points.
I don't know. I don't think they were wasted. I thought this was the most meaningful lay on hand points. I could have
Things were
distributed.
dead.
At least he tried.
That's
I
great.
tried to make the world a better place, and I did with Luke.
You did. You actually were the catalyst for Luke, because I had no intention of having an NPC sidekick for the entire campaign, and I think this is like episode 16 or something like that. 16 or 17. And Joey was like, we talked on the phone one day. You remember that, Joe? I called you.
Yes.
And I was
It was
like, all right,
after it was after I decided to just like, I'm gonna go save this dude.
yeah, I had no idea that you were gonna like take such a you were really like, I'm saving this kid in the book, the thing that talks about the lottery. It's just like, somebody has to walk out in the elements until they die. Basically, they don't have any winter clothing. They just go, and that's their they go to their death. And I would have just thought it'd be like a sombering moment for all of you, like you have to like, this kid's dying. But then you were like, I'm saving him. And I was like, oh, okay, interesting. And then I called you the next day or something, and I was like, so what do you want to do with the kid now? Because he's with you. I haven't created a persona for him. I haven't done anything, because I just thought he was going to be a, dead NPC. So we had to figure it out. And I kind of started to weave together an idea that was one of the backgrounds in it, and that's Luke. So one of the backgrounds that you could have rolled in the beginning would have been that you're an heir to a tribe. They have a little bit of a background for it. I just picked the tribe that worked best, that I thought worked best with it, the Tiger tribe, and went with it. And I think it just kind of, he became his own unique entity that everybody kind of built upon. I'm really proud of the Luke character. We'll talk about him a little bit more, but you were definitely the catalyst there.
Yeah, I feel like Rogal made hard, strange choices that led to really funny consequences.
And sometimes, yeah. Funny. Oh, and before we get off the Rogal subject, finally, can you tell everybody at home how you got your name?
So, I had to like redo my character sheet. So it was just typed in like Rogal version 2.
V2.
It's like V.2. So we're just like, all right, fuck it. V2.
That's amazing.
And then at one point,
legit.
I just put an accent on it. I think
It's one of the best moments in the entire campaign.
V2?
Me too.
So weird. That's honestly one of the weirdest things I did on this stream. I did a lot of weird
That's
things.
it. That's the weirdest thing.
It was
That's
one
right.
of them.
Yeah.
You heard it, everybody. It was Rogal V2. And he changed that into the character's last name, and it just went with it. And the whole time we're saying Rogal V2, nobody knows what we're talking about. Nobody understood. Now, finally, you can all understand the concept.
we spelled it V-E.
Yeah, T-U.
T-O-O.
It was a cool name.
It is. It is. Well, thank you, Joey. I had a blast seeing Rogal, in this campaign. He was an excellent part of the Musketeers, and I love how he finally got accepted by Edmund.
Yeah, that was a
Even if
crazy
it's
moment. I
love
actually
it.
like almost.
I
put a
love that
tear in my eye.
moment. I went back because we were doing that thing, and just watching that moment go over Joey's head.
Yes.
It's great.
Joey's head, not Rogal.
Not Rogal's. Rogal got it. Joey was like, "Huh?"
It was like, wait, what?
Yeah, he was like, you said something along the lines of like, you know, the
We
three of
are
us.
the Three Musketeers.
Yeah.
And I was like gesturing to all three of us: Rogal, myself, and Elias.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just-
And he's like, "What?"
I do have one last question.
Yeah, go.
What was the I feel like me and Edmund beefed a lot. I
Mhm.
want to know, what was it? Like, why did we butt
I
heads?
explain this.
No, but I feel
I
like
explained this in the section where we were talking about my
The
character.
healing of our enemies instead of healing us.
Yeah.
The sauntering when we were supposed to be stealthy.
I feel like Edmund did not appreciate my quirkiness. And
Remember,
also,
Edmund-
we saunter together. Let's not.
We sauntered
not,
together.
Not the saunterer.
It wasn't.
Single saunterer.
It wasn't only the something. It was. There's a lot of the lay on hands. I think
Was it really just lay on hands?
a lot of it was
A
lay
lot
on
of
hands.
90% of it was lay on hands.
90% of it was lay on hands, or like sometimes just reading the room incorrectly. Like this giant is saying to you, or is saying, "I want to die in battle. It is my goal to die in glorious battle. I am hanging my head down in front of you so that you may lop off my head and remove my head in one fell swoop with your axe, Rogal." And I'm like telling you, like, Rogal, kill the giant. And Rogal's like, I'm gonna use lay on hands and try and bring him back so he's not depressed and doesn't want to die. No. Then everybody else decided to attack.
A much more painful death than if Rogal had just.
Right, and then
He gets fire bolted, daggers thrown.
You can't blame me for that.
yeah.
We
Actually-
can though.
I remember role playing that, and I was like, when you guys were like, all right, then we just got to finish him. I attack. It was like magic missile, fire bolt,
Oh yeah.
sword attack, and I was
It's
like,
like-
you.
I stab him in the eye.
Yeah, that's how you could have stabbed him in
He
the eye.
cries out in pain. He's like, why would you do that?
This is the worst.
Lay
I
on
asked
hands
for
and stab him
mercy.
again.
It was great. I have a new poll up. Did Rogal use lay on hands on monsters too much? Yes or no? So that's up.
100%. It says
YouTube
yes. I don't
Yes.
I'm gonna go with no. I think it was kind of
Thank
Quaint.
you, Andrew. Thank you.
You got to
I didn't know
vote.
these.
the
I didn't know
passion of a
these-
new convert.
I didn't know these polls were for us.
know. You gotta get into the YouTube chat.
Thank
Wait.
you,
YouTube
Andrew.
chat for the poll. So okay, so Rogal,
I gotta go with my gut.
what's your gut?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Actually, it's funny. All the votes, 5 of them are in so far. The first 5, 100%.
Ah.
Yes.
Oh,
Oh
there we
no,
go.
there's a no.
Stupid Andrew probably
7
voted.
votes. So
I
that's
didn't
Rogal.
vote.
That's Rogal. Let's jump down to the final member of the Three Musketeers. Now, Andrew, obviously, Everard. I mean, you know, he died too early. He died episode 7 to the Dwergar. We kind of had a recap of that when it happened. There was even a session that I added to the playlist. So we've kind of covered Everard's death. Let's talk only about Elias Dawnstrider. Tell me about
Okay.
his life.
Well, the backstory for Elias Dawnstrider is that he grew up, he was in a village and everybody else died of plague, and he was rescued by followers of Lathander, and they raised him as a priest. And he has these magical blessings, and everyone his whole life has told him, oh, you're special, you've got the blessing of Lathander. And then he became an adventurer, and he saved several places. And then he ended up settling down and kind of running his own, in a small to medium-sized town, he ran his own temple of Lathander. And then he was called, I think he was getting kind of bored by just being a priest. He was called to Icewind Dale to bring back the dawn. And the thing about Elias is he really wanted to bring back the Dawn. Like, he was almost an anti-villain in that he didn't really care about anything. The people of the 10 towns, his companions, nothing was more important than bringing back the Dawn, because it was abomination that the Dawn didn't exist in this place. So to start with, he was very pompous, like, I'm the man, I'm going to bring back the Dawn, and then it was going well. But then we had a lot of kind of these town adventures, and I thought he was getting really frustrated. He was like, we're doing this stuff, we need to be, are we ever going to find out how to solve this problem? And I remember when we did the Cauldron of Plenty and the Caves of Hunger, and we brought it back, and he was trying to persuade the people of what town was it, like Tourmaline or something, or East Haven, that this was the blessing of Lathander.
East Haven.
And
yeah.
Julius and Edward were like totally like, this is stupid, what are you talking about? And they wouldn't go along with it. And he never really got over that. He kind of resented them from that point onwards a little bit.
Ooh.
But not really, because he knew they were necessary. And then it took off, and they obviously, at the end, he got the Mythalar and brought back the Dawn. But the other thing is, he was convinced that Luke was destined to die at some point because he was a sacrifice that had been saved. Because he was a pantheonist, he believed in the other gods. He just didn't believe that it would be possible and that he would not die. So that's kind of why at the end he was so ready to take Luke on and use him in that summoning spell, because he thought that was his destiny. That was what was meant to have happened.
That's
so to
interesting.
him, Regal is such a hero for fighting against an evil destiny.
Yeah, that's interesting. I like that, because you could tell you had a bunch of you had a lot of one-liners, I would say. Not that Elias wasn't tight-lipped. He had definitely, especially when it came to prayer and being the religious leader, he was kind of like the face in that regard. But oftentimes he would be he would have this one line that he throws out that was pretty harsh towards someone in the group. And I really thought that you played that well, because I know from the background we discussed, you're a Harper spy, basically. Your goal is to thwart the other factions. That's why you hated the Arcane Brotherhood. Right? From the beginning, you didn't trust any of them. But
no,
I found it interesting you were willing to work with them so many times.
Forget about it.
Well, that's because all that mattered was to bring back the Dawn, and if they could help you on that, it didn't matter if they were what their intentions were. Like, ancillary consequences were irrelevant.
Interesting. Sounds like a 40k character.
A little bit, but not quite as extreme as a 40k character.
Maybe not. No.
He grew fond of all the people.
Yeah.
Even if...
Well, I loved Elias Dawnstrider. I also love that you kind of had this character in another campaign that you played in person, right?
Right.
So you brought this character at a level 3 character that you had from another campaign into this campaign and kind of took it in a different direction. Yep,
exactly. He was a level 3, and Everard, I needed a level 3 character. And so I thought, well, I felt sad because COVID interrupted that campaign, so we didn't get to really finish it. So I thought, I can bring back my old friend.
Nice. Any questions for Everard from the group?
Yeah, do you think Rogal was a good student of Everard's? Or sorry, Elias's?
Absolutely terrible. He doesn't know the teacher's name.
I don't know the teacher's name. I'm very bad in school.
No, I think Elias thought that Rogal was an excellent student, and probably more. I mean, he had the passion of early faith, right? So he was there to save Luke. Sometimes he was teaching Elias how to be really come back to his roots.
I feel like Elias really inspired the faith in Rogal. I feel like Rogal wasn't really Lathanderite until Elias hit the scene
with a critical. It was
Definitely.
a critical hit.
Critical hit.
It was he hit the scene with a critical for sure.
Right. And we had that moment. When was that episode that we had that discussion about Lathander and redemption? Was that during the downtime?
Had a little
that was pretty
philosophical
intense
debate.
Yeah.
After Fladrian's death.
That's right.
Yeah.
My God.
I love the Fladrian character. I was kind of sad when he died.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, actually, we can segue into it, unless there's any other questions for Elias from CJ or Stefano
Nah,
or
I
Dasha.
can't. I'm surprised that Elias resented Edmund a little bit for the thing, for over the cauldron, but I get it now. I understand. I think Edmund was trying to take the credit, and Elias really wanted that credit to go to Lathander, but Edmund wants the credit for himself, so I can understand that.
I know Elias preferred Edmund to Julius.
That's good.
That's okay.
Wow.
I got some things to say about everyone.
We are all no longer friends in real life, by the way.
No.
We have not spoken to each other. It's all done.
The roast master general himself.
I was also surprised that Elias worked with Vellynne as much as he did, but now hearing your explanation about like he had that one goal and he was like blinders on, just gotta bring the dawn back, that makes sense that if he saw Vellynne as useful to that purpose, he would work with her. Because I was, I feel like there were some times where she would say something and like everyone would be like, no, that's stupid, but there were a few times where you agreed, from what I remember, and I was shocked at that. But yeah, it was nice. Worked for her to a certain degree.
So Vellynne too. Go ahead.
And also, he is a Lathander, right? So he does believe in redemption. So he did want to give people the chance,
true,
to change their ways. And I don't think you were an evil character. I believe you were more of a neutral force, right? Yeah.
But she was with the Arcane Brotherhood, which you probably saw as an evil group.
I will say one thing, and I do want to talk about Vellynne too. We're going to talk about Julius, then Vellynne. But this is one of the benefits from what how I like to do this a lot. You've all played in campaigns with me. I like to bring in guest people to play certain NPCs. In a way, it takes some work off of it for me, but in addition, it adds depth. Like that character will be played by someone it's just focused on that person, and I think the group is more willing to work with that NPC a bit if there's a real person there playing it, right? Because Dasha's you're not gonna kill her, and then she's gonna sit there for 3 hours.
That definitely crossed my mind several times, where I was like, I can't do things that I want to do.
I will talk more about Vellynne in a second and that dynamic, because I've grown fond of doing this over the years, of bringing in a guest person. I'll talk about my mindset and everything, and Dasha, you can talk about more too. But before we do, let's go to the fourth member of the crew, Julius. Julius, you had a very different path than the rest of the group.
Yeah, everything started out kind of nice. You had this plucky guy who just was zipping around the battlefield, shouting "Shield of Justice" and face my attack, ha! And being all Dragon Ball Z and stuff. Wanting to grow his legend as an adventurer, and then also secretly wanting to find his girlfriend. That's really why I was there.
Right.
Then
Nas,
yeah.
Things started to change a little bit once I touched the Chardolin, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then I gained that flaw where I was obsessed with the metal, my precious. And a couple of episodes later, maybe even the same episode, I gained another flaw that I had a bloodlust, I think it was. And I believe that was while we were in the Dwarven area, or Zardarok's keep, or something like that.
Sunblight, yeah.
And I think very shortly after, maybe while we were still in Sunblight, I gained another flaw where I thought that I was the most wonderful, most handsome, most powerful creature. That one I was kind of into. But Julius changed over time a lot. And I was luckily able to eliminate the bloodlust flaw when I met Lathander, which I suppose gave Julius a reason to keep going with the group. I think from that episode on, Julius just was following them, and I just don't know why.
Which episode was this?
After Sunblight, from like Sunblight on, maybe even from after the Charlatan Dragon on, he just didn't agree with so many decisions that the Three Musketeers made. There was one part where Nerth had been bringing Zentarum into the towns.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Julius said, maybe we should check on these towns and check on our friends and make sure that everything's okay. And then everyone's like, nah, we're supposed to go to Snowflake Island. Let's go. And I was like, okay.
Well, I want to interrupt one time. I want to interrupt here just real quick. So timeline thing. I think you were saying you killed the Charlatan Dragon. That was a pretty big shining moment for Julius.
Oh yeah.
And I think things were good then. I think they were at their height, even though you had some weird afflictions. I think the morale with the group was at its height there.
Okay.
Then
I had the crown in the eye.
Then it went downhill, yeah, because I think the first area of like real tension with the whole group was the trials at Snowflake Island at Solstice. That was like, I haven't seen the group kind of not make good decisions. You had found out Nas died. The trials were really hard without Rogal, who refused to kill the older people of the tribe, right? So, but again, I don't know if I were Rogal if I would have done that either. That
Rogal would not have done that.
Yeah, because you don't know if it's real.
He didn't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We know Rogal wouldn't because he didn't.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I think that's where it started to head downhill for the morale, especially with Julius.
And then Yithrin did so bad.
You guys don't know. I think I had at least 2 separate conversations with Bob, and I was just like, man, Bob, I'm just having a lot of trouble feeling like Julius wants to even work with these guys at all. Like,
especially during Githrin, yeah.
I feel like he just wants to leave or just solve it on his own, because these guys he thought they were boneheads. He felt like he was working with Larry, Curly, and Mo, making the worst decisions ever.
Wait a second. Wayne in the chat said something like that. Hold on, I gotta find what Wayne said. He said something exactly like that. I forget what it was, but he was like comparing Dasha. You to the.
He was comparing Vellynne in the chat.
Oh, she was the only thing keeping Chico, Harpo, Groucho, and Zeppo on the track. That's what it was. Not the Three Stooges. Yeah. Go ahead.
So, I think one of the first times that Julius probably felt that he should have just left was maybe after Nas's soul was safe. But I decided to go with the vengeance angle and continue to try to destroy Avarice. And then there was a lot of stuff in Yithrin where it was, I just felt like there were a lot of people talking out of 2 sides of their own faces. That isn't even a phrase, but it's like, we need to do this. This is our goal. Let's follow the evil people. Let's we know they're evil because we found out their alignment. And it's like, oh, so the Mythalar, we're here for the Mythalar. Let's go. And it's like, no, let's keep walking and following the Arcane Brotherhood into this area and doing kind of exactly what they want us to do. And I'm like, why are we doing that? Like, do we want to accomplish our goal, or do we want to continue going into this area because there might be a magical artifact in there that has nothing to do with what we're trying to accomplish? especially what Elias was trying to accomplish, as he just mentioned. He was supposed to be focused on the goal.
That was the one thing.
Yeah,
I don't think I played it right. I think he would have gone to the Mythar at that point.
So it was a struggle, and then there was a moment when I think Julius felt that he was starting to bond with Elias after they were kind of butting heads at the beginning. It was kind of like, you know, some ribbing here and there, and then I think they had a moment when they were in. It was during one of the trials, and you were Elias instead of being inhabited by my girlfriend, and being inhabited by Nas. And we had a kind of a heart-to-heart.
Oh, and that was the trial of endurance, I think.
I think it was. And I thought Julius was going to have kind of a changed relationship at that point. But then Elias started to say things like, we need a real mage to accomplish this. And you want to escape Iriel Arthas? Stand up and be a man and fight. And then I went down in the next round, and then the round after I went down and lost all 71 of my hit points. Everyone's like, let's escape. So
that might have just been Andrew. That might have just been Andrew coming through.
It was tough.
I did feel the redemption coming. I felt it.
It was close. It was close.
It was tough. It was tough for Julius, and I said that it was tough for Stefano not to get that final moment where he just said, "Fuck you guys, I'm out of here."
My God, like yeah, Yithrin just broke us. Yithrin was easily the hardest thing.
Yeah, there was
a lot. Like honestly, I think in the end, before he died, Julius was probably the coolest with Rogal, because Rogal was at least consistently inconsistent throughout.
Yeah, I was like kind of consistent with my inconsistency. Like even in Yithrin, I feel like Yithrin did not make me change my behavior in any way.
I mean, I think Stefano's favorite moment for Julius was when he walked out, put on the crown, and he was like, I'm going over here for this, or I'm going to this Colosseum for an artifact of power. And then Bob is like, Julius, you look to the right and you see Rogal, followed by a penguin, followed by a fox, followed by Luke. And they're all just yelling. And you hear, come back, Kingsblood, come back. And then I was just like, Julius pays them no mind and keeps walking towards the Colosseum.
That was great. That was awesome.
Yeah, I also remember Vellynne like running away and being like, I can't right now.
Yeah, she was not ready.
I do have another poll up in the chat. Should the crew have gone straight to the Mythalar, or were they right in following the Brotherhood? So vote for that one now. I'm interested to see that, because we've debated that over the course of those couple of sessions, and I think that the main defense for not going straight to the Mythalar was that if the Arcane Brotherhood found an artifact that could make one of them too powerful, then perhaps they would be an even bigger threat once the winter was over. But I don't know. And I think, Stefano, we had a chat about this at some point after the whole campaign. But you were thinking maybe players were either inadvertently or perhaps possibly just metagaming in a way that's like, well, this should be coming next, right? So we follow the Arcane Brotherhood because that's what probably the book says to do next. But I think I said this even in the prep session. I hope that all of you felt throughout this campaign, for at least a large majority of it, that if you went in a direction, I would have adapted to whatever the material was. Like these books, I mean, I did so many things in this book that is not in the book. So I don't know. I feel like it
seems pretty clear that even if we went to the Mythalar, of course, our characters wouldn't have known. Once we got there, we couldn't have attuned to it. And then we may have had to go back. We may have had to backtrack again and discover all these other places to find out how to actually activate it. But again, even so, there was a moment like, oh, let's follow the Arcane Brotherhood to make sure they don't get artifacts. There was a moment where they were really injured. And I was just like, so should we kill them? Should we tie them up?
Rogal can't kill them.
And it's like, no, let's heal them and let them continue on their quest and follow them.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh my God, it was tough.
I think Elias healed him. Healed
Yeah, I don't
Zan.
think I was there.
You were there. Oh, you were there.
It was after a battle against
after the
I think
swords.
like the floating heads or something.
The swords, the sword battle,
Right,
The
yeah.
sword battle? Yeah.
the swords of despair, whatever they're
With
called.
Zan. Well, I really thought that Zan could. I wasn't convinced that they were evil. I thought that they could
Be redeemed.
be redeemed. Right, exactly.
Interesting.
Zan was an idiot.
Zan was
It
Zan was
turns out that was
excellent.
wrong, but
Zan was excellent. If you even killed the real Zan.
Did I kill him too?
yeah, you killed him.
Yeah.
You must have killed
That's
80%
great.
of the people that we killed. Julius was like a machine when it came to combat.
I was not a fan of the Arcane Brotherhood.
Last thing to
I
talk
could have
about.
I could have lived with Vellynne, but
I
she
think
had
that was-
already turned into a Nothic, so it was
I think
over.
that was a big difference. That I was more au fait with the Arcane Brotherhood.
Also
I-
prevented you from turning into an off.
That's true.
Julius had a problem with the Arcane Brotherhood just because in his backstory,
Mhm.
he had this girl and they traveled together and they wanted to grow more powerful and become better wizards, and then she left because she felt like the Arcane Brotherhood was where she was going to become a powerful wizard, and that's how she was able to do it. So he didn't blame her, he blamed the Arcane Brotherhood for seducing her with power and things like that.
And
Most
then she
people don't know
died
that.
due to their machination.
And then she died. Yes.
Right.
So whether she died because of them or not, according to Julius, it's their fault.
Right, because otherwise it would be her fault, which you couldn't accept.
Yes. And
That's
it could
deep.
have been.
Loved the character of Julius, and I think just last thing I want to address here: your death.
Okay.
I promise you, I did not want to kill you because I wanted Julius to die. I wanted O'Real to play as O'Real would play. I know we talked about this.
Yeah.
You might disagree with me. I don't know how your thoughts are now. It's been so much time, but I can say with certainty, going into this combat, I was playing O'Real as a vindictive demigod who wants to get her way no matter what. She's extremely intelligent. She's killed adventurers before. She's seen them heal and get back up. She knows exactly how these types of things go. And so when she realized that it would be impossible in her state to kill Rogal and Elias, I think that was the order of she tried to kill them. Once she got you down, that second time, she made sure that you stayed down. She had 3 attacks and 3 legendary actions, and I just made sure that whoever went down and was closest to her next was dead. Luke was not a threat because he just did regular damage, spear damage. And so that was my mindset. But I know it might have seemed like I was targeting it. There's a debate on this in general in D&D, like, should a monster know to continue killing something? It's not so cut and dry. Like, it's pretty interesting, actually. There's some YouTubers who have made videos on this actually as well, and I've like had my own 2 cents about it, but I think a demigod, if it was any other type of creature, even the Tarask maybe, if you were just on the ground, wouldn't do it. But that was my thoughts. What are your thoughts on it all?
I think if you go an entire round of putting everyone down and they still get back up, at that point the character is allowed to double tap. Like I think like you should almost there should be some sort of buffer in between.
Except
like
that would never happen in this scenario, right? She knows that she can't get you down. Like, you're immune to, or not immune, you're resistant to frost. Edmund was resistant to frost. She would have known that after attacking you a few times, right? Elias went down but got up and could heal, right? So I feel like if there was someone to try to kill, it would be Julius at that moment. She tried to do it to a couple other people when then Julius came into the fray. If you had stayed out and kept,
I know.
you know, so she wouldn't have had the opportunity. But I do think, I don't know. Again, I've overthought it a million times, but in my mind, that's what I was going into. It was like, thinking that she would, if she can't get her way, she's going to try to kill as many people as possible.
What's her
before
wisdom?
she leaves? 28.
Like 5 billion.
Yeah.
Her intelligence is actually, her wisdom is the lowest. I think might be 26. Her intelligence is 28, and I think her charisma is a 30.
Yeah. At that point, like you're an intelligent enough creature to.
She's also immortal. She's killed adventurers before. She knows their deal. She knows that the ones with the symbols on them get others back up. She knows
I think
that they can heal.
as like a DM though, you should have that character at least attempt to attack everyone else in the party before jumping to a double tap, which you did.
Yeah.
Like
here's the thing. If you had, what was Edmund? If somebody did something, she could have very easily died. She only had like, I don't know, 12 hit points or something. I don't remember. I have to go back to the tape, but she was so close to death
right
towards the end that if like a roll had gone better, she wouldn't have had that legendary action, or she wouldn't have had that extra, round of attacking. So it was close. I don't know. Stefano, what are you thinking?
So I guess it's tricky. I think one of the things that I said to you was maybe I didn't say this to you, I don't know, but a simple line such as, like, if I'm going to disappear for a year, I'm going to make sure that one of you never returns again, or something like that. Like, because if she knew she was close to death, I'm assuming she knows that she's almost going to die. Saying something like that and then starting to attack Julius. Julius goes up, attack Julius, he's down, attack Julius again, attack Julius. That would have made a little more sense to me. Or it would have given me some sort of satisfaction that my death wasn't meaningless. So that's what was tough about it.
Yeah, I guess it comes to the point where maybe your characters and you don't know Oriel as well as you could because you only encounter a handful of times throughout the campaign. A couple of comments here on everything. Obviously most people are in the chat are saying depends on the monster. Wayne, we know Wayne agrees PC should all die. Brian agrees Oriel's basically the embodiment of cruelty. So that's actually another point too, right? Yeah, she's not just like she's gonna get revenge. Like she literally is like, she is like as the cold embodiment of cruelty. That's like her deal. So I feel like, I don't know. Again, it happened and it's the way it is, but
it is.
I think Julius had even though you said you didn't get a chance to, I don't know, what was it, like redeem or something like that. I don't know. I think in a way it kind of worked out. He was like in a downward spiral. He didn't agree with the group. He had almost nothing to live for at that point, right? And he went down. I don't know. It worked the way it worked, and
I don't want to get too into the process here, but do either of you think that part of just this channel and doing something kind of performative like this at all changed the way things, or could have changed the way things had gone?
Are you suggesting that he was killed for views?
I'm not saying that he was killed for views.
Oh, you mean within this scenario?
Yeah, within this scenario. Within the scenario of this being a live stream playthrough, like, did that?
I don't think so. Stefano knows me very well. Remember like, Don's character in Tomb of Annihilation?
Oh yes,
yeah.
The power would kill.
Yeah, where I took him out like in the first round, and he basically had to sit through almost the entire final session.
That was brutal because I think he rolled an 18 his save,
Yeah, Serac
But-
doesn't
and it
care.
just wasn't high enough.
It
I
made
know, so-
sense with the story, no?
Ugh.
I might be just a horrible person. So I mean,
No,
Why
no.
did you mean to Stefano?
I have a question for Stefano. Given as it was almost the last act of the whole campaign, when you died, did you still regret dying, or did you not care because it was the end of it anyway?
Oh no, that made it harder.
It's
Right,
funny,
because-
isn't it? When you play, at the end you want your character to survive so much. I remember Tomb of
Yeah.
Annihilation when the Falcon came within 1 hit point of dying.
Julius's death for me was much harder than Flair. And I was excited for Flair to continue. Like, I don't know, Flair was more happy-go-lucky. Flair probably would have played into the idiocy that Julius felt from the group. He would have been all about it. Yeah. But yes,
So
that's
what did you
that's-
have in mind then for Julius if he had survived?
leave you all.
I think he was just going to leave Icewind Dale, go back to the Sword Coast, and continue adventuring. But without you guys.
He would have been the Arcane Brotherhood Slayer. He would have just been traveling the Sword Coast, slaying Arcane Brotherhood people left and right.
I do
Yeah,
think
that
there
would
was
be-
something poetic about both Julius and, I guess, directly or indirectly, Nas being killed by Oriel. Like,
Mm,
dark but poetic.
Yeah.
That's a good point. All right,
I do
Dasha.
thi-
I guess we should talk to you as well.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
everybody, Dasha played an NPC. This is a character that was in the game from the get-go. This is a planned NPC for you all to meet. I changed a lot about the character, and Dasha and I had plenty of chats about, at this point in the campaign, what's she thinking, what's she going to. So we had a lot of behind the scenes conversations. I'd say we had at least 3 or 4 of those chats, right?
Yeah, maybe even more.
Yeah.
'Cause I remember there were some on Zoom, some on the phone, some just over text, some
Yeah,
of you
yeah.
just
well,
emailing me stuff. Yeah.
I
there's a
don't
lot.
include the text because that's just like when I get a thought, I was like, oh, send this to you.
That's-
But the conversations where I made sure you knew what
Oh,
to
yeah.
say in a scenario. So
Yes.
because if it was me doing it, I could just do it. I know
Yeah.
it's but I want this to also be a part where you can enjoy and have some freedom too. There's a fine line to allowing somebody to play an NPC because you want them to be able to play and have some autonomy. So I just gave you usually what I said is there's 3 things or these 2 things that she's got to suggest to the group. And if they don't, I also wanted you, I mean, how many times I told you they might do something completely different and you'll just go with it. And this is what you'll do if they do this. So that, right? Am I kind of describing what we talked about a lot?
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
What were your thoughts on playing an NPC?
Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you for inviting me because I wasn't able to play as a full-on player character in this campaign because I was in grad school when you all started this, and then out of the blue one day, I think I finished one of my classes and I got a text from Bob that said "Hey, how's your Russian accent?" And I was like, "This is intriguing. What's up, Bob?" And Bob told me this idea about this NPC that seems, I guess, Slavic in nature, and I don't know. So I was very excited to play an NPC. I was very nervous because I was scared that I would get something wrong, especially the first few sessions. I remember I was constantly messaging Bob in the chat, should she do this? Should I tell them now? And I don't think you were checking the Zoom chat, so I was just like, what do I do? But
Oh, I saw them.
yeah, okay, yeah. I was just like, what? Yeah, and I think the first, I think Stefano made a joke, but I was like, oh my god, if they actually do this, the first time she shows up, she tells them follow me, and walks away, and Stefano was
Yes.
like, wow, what if we just went the other way? And I was like, oh my god, please don't go the other way, because then I don't know what to do. But it was interesting because I liked that she had structure. I liked that Bob gave me kind of her motivations and her goals, even if I didn't know them all. He didn't tell me everything at once. He kind of revealed stuff, so even I didn't know some of the stuff that was going to happen. But that having that structure, but being able to make my own choices and develop her personality was really cool.
Yeah, I let you kind of take the reins on personality and whether you named your kobolds, you did all that stuff. That was all a you.
Yeah.
How you played it, your that's all you. I gave you your motivations and a couple of specific things, piece of information you had to give them. But then at the same time, yeah, I did want the group to be able to abandon you at some point. Now, usually every time you came in, the 3 times or so, those arcs that you came in, there was like some purpose. But then if the group got to a certain point and they were like, all right, so we're done, we're going to move this way, the next session you would just not have been there. So I definitely wanted there to be some autonomy for you, but also the players to dump you. And I think I mentioned something like that to the group in one of the things. I was like, she's going to come on. She is an NPC, but if you guys don't want her here, like really, if your characters wouldn't want her here, then after that session, she's gone. So I kept telling them to what would you do next? And it seemed to follow along with suit, especially for the Spire arc where Fladrian died, but then after that, you went your way. They went their separate way. Tremors on Ice was a lot of fun because you got to play in a one-shot with the group.
Yeah.
And you had important things to do separate from the group. You were checking out the crashed spaceship. So that was kind of an interesting tie-in to get you to play again, see some more motivations. And none of your characters really know what happened that day in Dugan's Hole.
Yeah.
Only Xerox.
Yes, I'm the only one who really knows what happened.
So what were your thoughts, group, playing with an NPC player?
I always find it fun. Because it's like this is a player character that I genuinely don't know if I can trust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's always like, well, this is a player character that genuinely has the option to just betray the group.
Ooh, that's a good way to put it, yeah.
Because it's like no matter how much of like a tussle I'm gonna get with like Edmund or Julius or rarely even Elias, like I know that like it's gonna work out in the end. But with Vellynne was always like I'm 90% sure that this is gonna work out fine. There's always that 10% chance that it's like, oh, we're idiots.
I really like
surprised
the
it was-
NPC players. I think it works really well. I really enjoy it.
Dasha?
Just because.
Oh, sorry.
it to
Go
life.
ahead.
I just say it really brings it to life.
I would also mention, I think you had Kyle on as another NPC player,
Mhm.
and I watched that, and that was really cool to watch and see someone
Wait.
else doing it.
Wait, did you guys not tell Kyle about tonight? Oh my gosh. Sorry, Kyle.
Well, that's great because right now coming in on the Zoom, let's.
It was fun to watch that one because I think I had already played Vellynne, and then she had like dipped and then would come back later. But it was cool to see someone else do it for those couple of episodes and see how he played his NPC.
Yeah, he played the Bear King, which was really cool to see the dynamic that he had with the group. It was awesome. That was a good one too. The Cave of Berserkers. That was a good one.
He was a more trustworthy NPC than I was, for sure.
Didn't Kyle's
Probably.
character, wasn't he the one that told us, kill these old people?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
in the trial. Yes. The Bear King comes back and he's the one who tells you to kill people. So I think
Yeah.
that's probably one of the reasons why you would believe that the trials are fake, because you already met him and you knew him in person. But that's something you had to decide as a character. CJ and Stefano, thoughts on Vellynne as an NPC?
I have a very specific question. What was Vellynne doing with the crashed ship and the gnome ceramorphs?
I, to be honest, don't know or don't remember. Maybe Bob told me at one point, but it's been a while, so I'm gonna lean on Bob for this one.
And then he was like, "Oh, we met your friend."
Yes. Yeah, I don't remember because obviously that was never actually played out in any way.
Right.
She was Tremors on Ice, and then she left, and then the spaceship stuff happened, and then you
So
guys did the
here's-
spaceship stuff, and then we met back up after.
So here's some secret DM magic. Okay, this is what happens. I don't want Vellynne with you from episode 11 on, so she's got to go attend to something. She was worried that they were mind flayers invading that spaceship that she saw from the sky. you all didn't know what it was. You thought it was like a meteorite, but she was like, oh my God, I've got to go check this out. If this is what I think it is, it's bad. And that was a way for her to get out of the group so you can go and do whatever you want to do without having tied to a NPC.
Now, you know, it was also really cool. I think I'm getting this right, but when we were traveling to the Spire, I think there was a moment where like Vellynne like looked up in the sky.
Yeah.
And there was just like a glimmering star
Yes.
traveling
That was it.
across in the sky.
Mhm.
That was it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was way before then.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
I don't think she even said anything about it. I think
she
she just
didn't.
reacted, and
It was, but that was cool foreshadowing. That's like it's like good storytelling from like a TV show that has like
Yeah.
a twist in the
That-
next season or
arc.
something.
Am
Yeah,
I
was
wrong in
thinking,
saying
what is
that?
shadow?
Am I wrong in saying that, Bob, that meteorite was also, or meteorite thing was also what brought the supernatural crew that one time to Icewind Dale? Was that the same?
Yes. Oh,
falling
yeah,
object?
good
of
call.
course, yeah.
Okay, because I played Arel in that situation. That was a different
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, true.
setting,
Yeah.
but
That was our third episode, when the dogs start barking, which
yeah,
is a
that was a really
fantastic
good one.
shot.
So dark.
That was
Yeah.
not in the one shots, you know, in the story that Isaac Mandagi, the author of it, made. That was actually just me tying everything into the same world, just because I like doing that. But yeah, so that was separate. But yeah, I tied that in so that she would leave, go see the Ceramorphs. When you get there, you already know that they met Vellynne. Maybe you even thought that they killed Vellynne. I alluded to that they had a bunch of their flesh, right? So it was like, but it was actually Winona Strider. Joey's
Poor
character.
Winona. Rest in peace.
She is dead. Canon on Tabletop Bob. She is dead.
I can't play Winona Strider anymore.
No, you can. You even played her in a Candlekeep after that. But Candlekeep,
Good.
who knows when those take place? So
Okay, I do
Anyway.
have two questions. I have a two-part question.
so
for
let's
Dasha.
air out any questions at this point, and then we'll wrap up things.
How did you feel about Vellynne turning into a Nothic? And second part, how do you feel that all it took was 5 lay on hand points to not turn into a Nothic?
I mean, I mean, Bob told me earlier on like what was going to happen. I knew what I think months ahead what she was, and I think he told me it was going to happen, and he was like, it'll happen in like 4 episodes, and then you guys kept dragging things out, so it took
The
more like
Caves of
8
Hunger.
episodes.
Caves of
Yeah.
Hunger.
So I was ready because I knew that if she if that didn't happen, she was gonna have to fight the group at some point probably. And I guess she did end up, becoming a potential threat for them that they could fight and did kill. But I think part of her had started growing kind of fond of the group. And I don't know really what decision or maybe she would have made the decision to like go with her Arcane Brotherhood mission at the end. Probably that's canon what she would do. But in my envisioning of her, I think that would have been a really tough choice for her if she had to betray the group because she had traveled with you for so long. Bob, I don't know if that's what you were envisioning, but that's what was going on. That's what was going on inside my brain.
If Joey, if we had discovered that that's how you cure it, and by the way, that's so lame. That's just like so lame that
Yeah.
that was what stops it, because that was like a really cool moment for Vellynne, and it was like adds a ticking clock element to the group trying to get things done in Yithrin, and 5 lay on hands points.
Yeah, that is pretty disappointing.
I mean, Joey puts more into hags.
Yeah. But to be fair, she didn't give you a chance to do anything because she ran away immediately.
Right.
She
See,
ran away as it was
Right.
happening because she was freaking out and
Yeah.
I guess starting to lose her mind completely.
One of her last memories was seeing Rogal and Luke carrying a penguin.
Yeah, yeah. She was already losing it at that point, so I don't
Yeah.
know if she was even ready to deal with that mentally. She had her own issues going on. I did think it was kind of cool that Julius also kind of started being affected. I think, right? There was Julius started kind of also losing it, but then you ended
Yeah.
up being fine eventually.
Rogal.
I just get this strange feeling to cast 5 lay on hand points.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. I think we were in the middle of like a shouting match,
Yeah. Yeah, we were.
and then you turned.
Yeah.
Stop the conversation for sure.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's crazy.
I loved Vellynne. I thought Vellynne was an awesome addition. I mean, I don't know how many episodes you were in, but it felt like you were at least in like 30, maybe almost half.
I don't know.
Maybe not
No.
30, maybe 20.
Probably closer to that, yeah.
All right,
Maybe
but
more.
I think
I don't
less.
know.
I think, to be honest, maybe like 13 or 14 at most.
really,
It does feel
Yeah.
like
well, it felt like
been
she
with,
was
like,
there.
half the
It
campaign.
felt
It
like
did.
she was. Yeah, it really felt like she was.
Yeah.
You know, it felt like she was part of the group,
Yeah.
even though she wasn't part of the group.
That's why she's here and Kyle's not.
Right.
Oh.
Kyle.
Uh,
Love you,
but
Kyle.
I enjoyed, since Julius already had this hatred for the Arcane Brotherhood, just having these back and forth conversations with her, not trusting her, but then also feeling like she was the only one that really knew what was going on, so wanting to work with her, but also didn't like her.
Right.
So that was a really fun relationship for Julius to explore throughout the campaign.
Yeah. They both had that weird connection with Nas, because you obviously loved Nas, and Vellynne was really pissed at Nas because Nas killed 2 of her kobolds, stole her oh my gosh, Professor Orb, and was just not I don't think she hated Nas, but she was not happy with her actions. But I do think she probably felt a little sad when she saw Nas dead, though Nas probably deserved it for what she did.
Yeah.
CJ, I know you had a bunch of questions. Anything else on the list?
I just had some questions. I have questions for you, Bob, really, about the campaign. I don't know.
Oh, boy.
What was up with Trex? Does anybody else?
Okay,
Well,
yes, I know. What is up with Trex?
Trex?
Okay.
Yeah, what's up? What was up with Trex, and what was up with that weird squid encased in ice in the Caves of Hunger? That's the 2 questions that I wanted.
Okay. All right. Let's start with Trex. I effed up at the end. I had a note on my my document here about Trex, and as I was reading through my like closing lines that I had that typed my box text that I created, I was reading through and talking about how who's there in the room, and I said Trex is there, and I messed up because I should have said the Oris Mastu, the speaker of whatever, but I said Trex is there in my statement, like a slip of the tongue, and then I was like, oh, I guess I have to explain that now, because you were like, Trex, why is Trex here? And I was like, oh, it's not actually Trex. So I messed up. That was literally like, I was in the moment. I was not paying attention. I was reading what I had written there, and I said Trex, even though I should have said Oris Mastu, and then I kind of spilled it out, cat out of the bag. So Trex, Trex was basically possessed by the ghost of the real Trex. So he was a real like wizard dude or artificer or something. He was some sort of magic user that died and was basically kind of like embodying this kobold. So that's why he was so much smarter. He had a component pouch, and his goal was to possess somebody else, so get to a better body, and then like enact his plans. It was in the book. I think they suggest you do it to a party member, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted it to be more like an elaborate grand thing, if it ever got back to that, if you ever went back to Tourmaline, but it never really picked up. So I was like, he's gonna possess Oris Mastu and start having Oris Mastu be like smarter, because he was like this like kind of rough and tough kind of get in your face speaker. He was gonna start being more calculating during the fight with the
Bolton type.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
Kind of like that.
That's a cool arc.
That's awesome.
And then during the fight with the dragon, he dies. So he takes his body over. That was my thought for Oris Mastu. And instead of writing Oris, I wrote Trex, because I was like, Trex is in his body, and I messed that up. So I totally ruined the entire campaign, because the last thing I said was a flub.
I smell another Bob's DM Pro Tips video.
I mean,
No.
Coming.
He sold it
I
like that
sense
was
that.
supposed to what he meant to say. So
I'm glad
That's
you
true.
all believed it.
It just made us very questionable
Yep.
about what
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah. Yep. Well, and
and
then
then
what was your other question?
The squid thing in the Caves of Hunger. That
To be honest, it's not really well developed in the book. It was kind of like just it could possess you and just like hold you there like it did to Vellynne.
Squid?
It was like
Oh yeah, that's when
That
that's
thing
when you
was-
stole
Cthulhu
Vellynne's
creature.
books, right?
Yeah, that's why I took the book.
Yeah.
it was like a
I remember
Cthulhu
that.
creature that there, and it just like it could wipe your mind. And
That thing was like creepy.
if anybody else in the chat knows what they're referring to, it's the one in the Caves of Hunger. If I'm wrong, I think it's just like a one little footnote, and it's like kind of like a trap. If you walk too close to it, you get frozen, paralyzed.
But there was a
Um,
name for it because we saw it in the museum, I think.
Yeah, I'm
I
looking
can't remember
for
the
it.
name of it. I wrote it down, but I don't know where the book
The
is.
Watcher
but
in
I
the
was-
Wall. No, that's not it. The Thing in the Ice. A flat sheet of cloudy ice forms. One of the wall is 40-foot cavern. It's dark, humongous, a shifts behind the wall, tentacles waving unimpeded.
we
Blah
had
blah
a
blah.
book. We had a book about those things, I think.
We did.
Yeah, it can cause madness if you subject to it for too long. It's an intelligence saving throw, and after an hour, if you're stuck there, it does 8d10 psychic damage.
Jesus.
Wow. That's a
Yeah,
lot.
but that's it. That's basically it. So I know it's kind
Feyrim.
of
Legends of the
anticlimactic. but-
Feyrim or something.
Yeah. Any other burning questions?
I have other DM questions for you. Are there any things? What did you learn as a DM, DMing Rime of the Frostmaiden? Because we talked about what we learned as characters. What did you learn as a DM, DMing Rime of the Frostmaiden? What are your takeaways as a DM?
I think that this book was the perfect example of a great premise and setup, and kind of like a poor execution. And so the dungeon master has to adapt the material a bit. Like in some campaigns, you don't need to do that. I think you watch any DM advice video, they're always like, do what you want, take the material and like kind of change it. In this one, I think you have to. If you try to run it as is, it won't feel as satisfying. A lot of the things, and I don't even want to tell you everything that I changed because it'll take away from it. But I do think that quite a bit of the things that I changed. If you running this book, I know a bunch of people watch this are potential DMs. They're running it, and so they kind of like to see how somebody else does things. You know what I've changed, and I stand by pretty much everything that I've changed. I really like making it my own. I really think you really need to do that, and more so with this book than anything else. I also learned that it's okay to have a party. Like I was a little worried when there was one episode earlier on where I don't know. It was like I was worried that you guys weren't like meshing well, but it ended up being like you guys really just role played it, that you didn't like Rogal or didn't like so and so at that time, and it actually ended up being totally fine. And like I realized that you were all so good with each other. Just character to character was really good role playing. So
Yeah, I did
was
like the
happy with
fact that
it.
we were able to like you gave us space to like sort of like get into conflict with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
You
thought
know,
that
like
was really
CJ,
cool.
CJ, we played in campaigns a lot together. We as players, we've been over the years played a couple of campaigns, and I mean we're one character. Remember Vorn and Journey, or not? Yeah,
Yes.
Journey. I mean, Vorn hated
Journey.
him, but I love playing with you. So
Oh,
like it
you-
was
you- it wasn't Journey. It was
no,
Tristram.
of course, Tristram.
bard.
Yes, I don't even know your name because I never
Yeah, you just
thought to
called me the
remember it.
Bard, and then
Right.
Wait,
Tristram.
was I playing in this campaign? I
you were
played in
in
this
that.
campaign.
That
Yes.
was Undargo.
Dargo.
That was
What a
Undargo.
character.
That was,
We can't talk about
Tristram sounds
Undargo.
like a
that was
Tristram sounds like a town from Diablo 1.
it might be.
It might be.
But that
It
was
is.
also Joey played Howard the Coward in that campaign for like 3 sessions and then ran away and
So he
never came
died.
back.
Then you played Indargo, the opposite, who's just run into every scenario.
Scream
Yes.
his name.
We actually can't say anything that he would actually say on stream or get shut down, but you
He
know,
did some heinous shit.
it was like that. I felt like at the first maybe, I don't know, 15, 20 episodes, I was starting to feel like, oh boy, I hope they're meshing. But then I was realized, like especially Fladrian's death, that you all really role played great. And it was more like you were totally meshing. And being a DM, I was streaming for the first time. This was the first campaign I streamed, so real special place in my heart. But
Mhm.
this was a great learning experience for that too, because this whole thing is crazy. I think I mentioned this before. I'm a person that literally plays games to avoid technology. Like my whole life, I've played board games, Warhammer, D&D because I hate technology. I played video games a little bit in high school, but board tabletop stuff's my thing. I didn't even own a computer for like the last 10 years. So the only computer I had was the work computer they gave us. And I don't know. I had to learn so much. And so I think it's a lot more overall DMing to streaming, but you guys were great helping me along. And this campaign, like I said, very special.
Homebrew rules. Are there any that you would change that you're thinking about changing? I don't know if you follow all of the same ones in Wild Beyond the Witchlight.
Everyone's different.
Tabletop Bob.
Because I like to make my life, every single campaign's different because I like to make my life miserable.
Wild Beyond the Witchlight starting Tuesday.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yeah. Starting tomorrow, Tuesday.
I'll be there.
Dasha will be there.
So the long rest rules, short rest rules, full rest rules, initiative order. How did you like
critical damage? The D20. I love the max dice homebrew rule we had in this campaign.
I do love the max dice rule because that does favor. But I don't know if that favors. I think you didn't roll that same rule for the
monsters.
For the monsters, but it
absolutely 100% forgot almost every time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But we remembered every time we rolled.
Almost.
So that's what
well, my crits were programmed in.
Well, here's
roll one max die.
Here's the problem with streaming, playing at a Roll20, is I have so many things to remember. Like, and you all know because you see the behind the scenes. I spend hours like doing stuff for the channel that like the last thing I think about when I'm streaming, checking for comments, making sure that everything's like technology wise working right, running the game, looking for the material, that I forgot to like add the full weapon damage. It's already programmed Roll20, the module's already made. So I forgot, and I would go through whole sessions and be like, I totally forgot. Like I didn't even think about it. Wasn't even something on my mind. Even when you would do it and I wouldn't even think about it on my end at all. So I don't know. That's one of the things I have to maybe manage a bit more in the future with that. So I'm going with house rules that I have to do less of, if that makes sense. So I'm not using that weapon rule in any of the other campaigns. I am using the long rest rule. I'm a big fan of it. I think it makes you manage your resources. I think it makes it not an automatic no-brainer that like we're going to take a long rest now. Like you can manage with short rests, and it kind of encourages you to keep going, pushing the story along. And I do love the initiative, but I don't think other groups can manage it well. I think we managed it well, but there were even times where I think we would be like, all right, group, you're up. And then it'd be like, should I go? Should I not? And then most of the time Joey's like, all right, I'm gonna go and attack.
That's very accurate.
Yeah.
I love that initiative homebrew, because if you really want to do something, you can just do it. You say, I'm doing this, and someone's like, well, I wanted to do
there
X,
were
Y,
a couple of
I don't care, I've
times
done it already,
where I've had to be like, actually, Andrew is gonna go first. He said it first.
Yeah, right.
Even though Joey already rolled his dice, Andrew's going first. Like I had to do that a couple times. You all from the beginning were really good with it. You took your time, with it and thought about it. But I do think my other group, especially if you have 6 players, it gets very hard. I feel like there's always going to be players, and even our game. I think CJ, you ended up being the de facto like last player quite a few times.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is weird because I had the highest dexterity, I think, amongst everybody, which means I would have been the de facto go first guy.
Right.
Which
it changes the way your characters
the
are made.
Dynamic, which also brings up how many last hit kills I got, which is incredible. When
yeah,
because I killed so many things, and I like have like a list of things here that I was trying to think of. Does anybody know? Does anybody know what their favorite kill was? Or anything?
I mean, I know mine. It was when I killed Zardrot with a laser rifle.
That was
pretty epic.
Definitely your best kill. Does Rogal have a favorite best kill?
Pushing the Yeti was really fun.
Pushing the Yeti.
Pushing the Yeti was a good one. Elias? Or no, not Elias. Julius. I know Julius's best kill.
Avarice.
Avarice? Really?
No,
Wow.
the Charlatan Dragon.
That's
of
the
course.
best one, of course. But yeah, so then I had Edmund has a lot. I had the Baby Yeti.
Oh,
Oh.
Wait, that was your favorite?
No. I have.
Oh.
I'm
that
just
was
trying to-
that's my
I'm going
favorite
through-
now.
I'm going
Jesus
through a lot
Christ.
of them. I
You
really
monster.
enjoyed the hag kill in front of
Mm-hmm.
Rogal. That
I
a
was
great
so
one.
angry about that.
I did kill the first Frostmaiden. I also killed Luke's mom,
Wow.
and
Yeah,
killing
yeah.
the giant in Solstice.
Mm.
And I also killed Cephix. So it was like I can't, like because I was going last so much, I was able to get that like last hit, last kill, like kill in on a lot of things.
And the Frostmaiden,
And the Frostmaiden,
which is big.
First, you got the first and third forms.
I believe so.
Yeah, the first and third. I think you got the second, right?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
CJ.
way,
Hold on, CJ. So I find it very fitting that Edmund killed the Frostmaiden because you were the first person willing to sacrifice yourself
Yes.
when you first met in person with the Frostmaiden. And Rogal wouldn't allow it. He didn't let it happen. And I think that's probably why you killed her. Because you were alive to actually be there to do it. You would have died
Yeah.
like
You know
right
what?
away. And in this case, you were the one to put the finishing blow.
so you're saying Rogal killed the Frostmaiden?
Yeah, we have Rogal to thank for that.
Rogal.
I have a question.
Rogal tried to save the Frostmaiden with some lay on hands points.
I don't even know if I guess.
No, of course not.
If we had decided to attack the Frostmaiden at that point, would we have stood any chance at all, or would we have just died?
I think you all would have died based on what Bob and I talked about because we
You
had
were
talked
all
about that
very-
moment.
You were all very injured.
Yeah, we were
Um,
too injured, really.
And I thought that if anyone were to try to do that, you would absolutely die. Like if Edmund stayed, dead. If Julius, I thought I might goad Julius into attacking, and because I've talked about Nas, bring the body out, it would be like
Mhm.
tragic.
Yeah.
And if you did, you would have died, right? You know, you would have definitely died. Whoever decided to stay would have died, and then you would have just jumped into Angajuk, and whoever wanted to stay alive could have just hopped in and sped away.
Oh, can you tell us about that final secret chamber inside of O'Reil's abode?
Oh, near the trials?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you
Where-
go in there and you accept her invitation to whatever it says,
Will
court
you
death,
quell death to
Yeah.
receive my blessing?
you make a DC 20, if I'm not mistaken. I feel like Brian might be in the chat. Brian always remembers these details. The like a DC 20 charisma save or something like that. And if you fail it, you die.
Oh my
Wow.
god.
That's DC 22, Brian says, actually. Thank you.
Holy
Oh.
sh!
Just as well you didn't do that.
Thank God.
I'm looking it up because I wanted to see the wording of the
Honestly, that probably would have been a better death for Julius. His
wait,
girlfriend's soul was just saved, and then he dies.
Wait, what happens if you succeed? Do you get something?
you do. You get a big boon. Let me find it.
Because hold on, I want to look. I think Rogal's charisma save is like 13.
You see 22. I don't think I had much charisma.
Okay, so
Fladrian would have made it.
Yeah.
That made-
Flashian would have been like, "Oh, what's this?"
My charisma save was plus 14.
Oh my god! Wow. But you wouldn't have done that. You wouldn't have agreed to that probably.
will
Probably
you
not.
will you court death to receive my blessing? She makes the offer to a character once and once only. A character who agrees to receive Oriel's blessing must succeed. So it's slightly off. It's DC 21. DC 21. But DC 21, con saving throw, not charisma.
Oh,
On a failed
Uh.
save, the character is petrified, becoming an ice statue instead of a stone one. Once successful, on a successful save, the character gains the blessing of the Frostmaiden, which Oriel can rescind at any time while she's alive. Otherwise, you follow the whatever.
He would have been like, no, rescind.
Well,
Immediately.
no, there's a lot
Not
of talk
these assholes.
in a lot of DM circles. There's a lot of talk about this. How they're like, that's so stupid because like she would give you the blessing, but then she wouldn't want you to have it because you're going against her. So the blessing gives you like resistance to cold and a bunch of other things. It's really good to have. If you fight her though, she would rescind it, right? So she'd want you to be a follower. And at the moment where you were like, yeah, I'm going to fight you, I'm resistant to cold, she would just snap it away instantly.
That's very powerful.
Or it's
So-
a good way to try and get the party to fight each other.
That too.
You
Oh,
become
true.
a sleeper agent inside.
Yeah.
That's true. I have a question for. Oh, go ahead, Joey.
No, go ahead.
I had a question for Bob going forward, based on your experience having other people play NPCs this time around, like Kyle and I. Do you think you'll do it again in future campaigns? And also, what would you have done differently if you were Vellynne?
And also,
Instead of
CJ's
me.
available for.
Yeah. I'm thinking like I'm in Wild Beyond the Witchlight now. I want to see some NPCs
Stefano is
come in.
also available for Wild Beyond the Witchlight.
Everyone's available.
Joey.
I'm pretty busy, so maybe like one or two sessions.
Yeah, no, I hear you. So, yes, like Vellynne, to answer your first part of the question, I don't know if I would have done much different with Vellynne than you did. I think you did a great job. In fact, I don't even know where to start thinking about it. So, you did great, and I don't know if I would do anything different. I really don't.
Okay.
I haven't really thought about getting in the mindset of Vellynne because I had you do it. So, the Vellynne in the book is very weak, though. I will just say the Vellynne in the book, the character kind of sucks. It's like she shows up when you're fighting the dragon. Okay, so she shows up randomly. The first time you're ever supposed to meet her is when you're chasing the dragon down. She comes up in a sled and she's like, "Hello there," like Obi-Wan Kenobi style, and she's like, "Yeah," she's like, "I hear you need a sled. I have a sled and I can help you, but afterwards you need to help me." And then she helps you fight the dragon. And then afterwards she's like, "Now, for you helping me, I need you to travel with me to an island that's in the shape of a snowflake. And we need to find a codicil of white." And she says every single thing that the entire campaign keeps a secret. And then you go to the island of Solstice. And then she follows you until she dies eventually. But that's it. It's legit. Like, she tells you everything, meets you for the first time when you're fighting the dragon. There's no reason to trust her. You only heard bad things about the Arcane Brotherhood. I don't understand how you could possibly do that. But that's why I had her introduced.
Dasha was a much better version.
I had her introduced early and often and by Dasha so that it's just a little more believable.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really cool.
The Spire was so good for her to be part of that because
Yep.
it was like, okay, so she's like trustworthy, like
Yep.
she's
Not in the book either. Not the way the book plays it out.
Because the Spire made me trust her more because of the way she reacted with the Simulacrum.
I thought she needed to prove her worth to you, and that would be a way she could do that. I will definitely have cameos and NPCs played by other people for sure, though. I love when
That's
CJ
exciting.
played Archon the Cruel
Yeah, that was really cool.
in our Avernus campaign. That was awesome.
that was fun.
That was the
Yeah.
first time I met you, CJ.
It's good.
That's good.
CJ just got to live a fantasy of playing Joe
got to-
Manganiello.
Get to play Joe Manganiello. I'm so happy.
Oh,
He's my
okay, Bob.
He's my New York Comic Con BFF.
Nice. Joey, sounds like you have a very important question.
I've got the hard question.
Okay.
All right. Okay. You
Okay.
ready?
I'll answer
Oh,
everything
no, I
truthfully,
know what
Joey.
it is.
Who's your favorite?
I knew it.
And
So
if you
easy.
don't say it's me, I'm giving
So-
you the
no,
newest COVID stream.
So easy.
stream
The
at,
answer is
at
Kyle.
Thanksgiving.
Luke.
It's
Luke was my favorite.
Luke was my favorite too.
Did we talk about Luke? Did we go through?
We
No,
touched
not
on him, but
yet.
we didn't really.
Touched on him.
Just real quick then, because I know we're getting late here on
Yeah.
the stream. But Luke was a character that I said Rogal kind of forced into the game. I didn't plan it. I said I'm going to use Tasha's sidekick rules. I then looked at one of the backgrounds and I was like, you know what? I'm going to make him have like a destiny, right? Like a royal. He's royalty, basically. He's got this lineage. He doesn't know it. You know, Jon Snow-esque, that sort of like, doesn't know who his parents are. his actual father was not his father. It was just somebody from the tiger tribe that basically ran away with him to save him. And eventually I knew you'd meet Bjornhild, his mother, who's this cruel, evil SOB, who she basically has children with people. She sleeps with whoever she needs to gain political, have a political gain. And then if she has a child, she just discards it so that it won't ever challenge her for her authority. And that's all in the book. And I was like, that's a really cool background for a character who doesn't know their parents, because that's not part of the background. Part of the background in it is like you're an heir to a tribe. You can kind of do what you want with it. And I was just like, if we're going to have a NPC that's going to be with the party, they can't just be a sidekick. They have to have something that the characters can also push for. And I thought that would be cool if eventually you find this out about Luke. And I was like, we're just going to have it during the trials. That also was not in the trials. That was just something I added in there.
I was a little sad that the mom and Luke never got to have their like
Oh, but
last moment or redemption arc. I was waiting for like a Luke Skywalker
but that was glorious.
Darth Vader-esque moment at the end,
Thanks,
but
Edmund.
it was a cool kill.
Thanks,
It was
Edmund.
The dagger to the eye.
Thanks, Edmund.
Such a
Yeah.
good kill.
That was epic.
It
So
was one
yes,
of my
Joey,
favorites.
Luke is my favorite.
Okay. Yeah, I was shocked.
Second favorite.
I'm shocked learning this now, that Luke wasn't like kind of a planned thing because of how well you integrated that into the trials and the
Go on.
ending there.
Tell me
like,
about how
letting-
well I
Yeah,
did it.
he's stuck
ahead.
up right here.
No, it was.
Go ahead,
it was-
CJ.
He wants to be second favorite.
I want to be second favorite. I'm going to tell you how
CJ,
great this was.
Tell me what campaign you want to be an NPC in. Go ahead.
We're blood, Bobby.
Keep on the Borderlands. But
You
no,
want to join
it was-
that group?
Actually, no, there's too many of them. But no,
I'm gonna join them so I can laugh at them.
I was really surprised that like Luke wasn't part of the book.
Yeah,
I was also surprised.
not at all.
I like that he was kind of like blowing with the wind, and then we found that out about him, and he found out about himself, and he suddenly became his own person.
Yeah.
I knew it wasn't part of the book because there's no way that in the book it says this crazy paladin goes and saves.
I thought there was probably a part of the book that says like if a character decides to save him, here's what to do.
Oh, it turns out he's actually this and this.
Yeah.
I think Luke was great though.
Yeah, Luke was awesome.
Not my favorite character though.
All right, who was your favorite character?
Julius.
Okay.
Of course. My favorite character was Zan because he just kept coming back. That mofo would not die.
Zan, you
Yeah,
don't
I-
even know if you killed the real Zan.
He might be still alive still. Yeah,
It's
He's
we don't
hanging
know.
out on the
Zan,
Sword Coast.
Zan could be anywhere.
I had an
Yeah.
unhealthy regard for Zan.
You healthy
Favorite
regard?
non-player character.
Brian
Yeah.
in the chat wants to know what your history of playing D&D or lack thereof is.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. It's a good question because in the Keep on the Borderlands, yes, we talked about it first session about all their histories with D&D because it's all about the people who played multiple editions and people who only played 5e. So who wants to start?
My history.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I started playing. I guess I played a little bit of D&D back when me and Bobby were in high school and I was in middle school.
Yep.
Like I played with you and your friends for like a handful of adventures.
3.0. Yeah.
3.0. And then it wasn't until like 5th edition rolled in that we started playing at the gaming club.
Battle for Salvation. Represent.
Battle for Salvation. BFS, we say. Yeah, I think this is my first fully done campaign.
Bruce's campaign, right? Did we finish that?
We did not finish.
No, we ended
Oh.
one session short.
Oh, how'd that happen? We got to fix that. All right, so Joey, you played in a couple of campaigns, and then this one was the real, I guess. Yeah,
the
you
end.
played to the end.
I'm glad my character survived. Like, very happy. about
Stefano.
My D&D experience or
Yeah.
about my character
Your
not
D&D experience.
No, your
surviving
D&D
or-
experience.
So I started getting into D&D when a ex-student of mine, who is now like an adult, suggested that I listen to the Adventure Zone podcast. And at the time I was like, yeah, sure, I'll write it down. And I wrote it down. And I was probably had no intention of listening to it. I was kind of bored one day and I looked at my phone and I saw this note that I made and I was like, let's check it out. And I listened to the Adventure Zone, started getting hooked on D&D.
Right.
I listened to Dice Camera Action. I listened to a short series called Dragons in Places. And I was listening to all these podcasts and I was starting to learn the rules from listening to all these podcasts. And I was just thinking to myself, man, I really want to play D&D. So this is around, I think, maybe 2018, late 2018. Maybe that's that
Yeah.
October.
Yeah, October. Yeah.
My friend, I was talking to my friend. I was like, I really want to play this game. And she was like, there's a thing like check Meetup. I'm going to send you a couple of links. And I clicked on one of the links and I saw Battle for Salvation. I saw a picture and I saw a picture and I'm like, I know that guy. I work with that guy. So the very next day, Bob, I actually spoke to you and I said,
Yeah, I remember that.
So I ran into this picture and I really want to play D&D. And I
was like, where'd you find that?
Yeah. So I've been pretty much hooked ever since. It's my favorite thing to do that I do recreationally right now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Who's next?
So I played one time in elementary. So my D&D adventure starts in elementary school. I played like one day during lunch in like elementary school. Someone was like, it was actually like in the library, like
at the library.
Yeah. And we played like one session. Like there's other group of friends were like getting together. They're like, yeah, we're gonna play Dungeons and Dragons, and like you can be this character. And I was like, sure, I'll play. And like we played once, and that was like the only time I played before 5th edition came out. And like all throughout like growing up, I'd always like hear about D&D and like look at like fantasy stuff and be very interested in it. And there was
You're always into gaming too.
Always into gaming. Always into like computer role-playing games, like the original Icewind Dale role-playing game, or I really enjoyed the Ultima series and those kinds of games. And then eventually when I started coming to the club was about when a few years before 5th edition came out. And then when 5th edition came out, I was like, oh, this is like really cool because it's going back to like the roots. I had heard that like 4th edition wasn't great. I had like some of the books, but no one never played it.
I have so many 4th edition books.
I have so many 4th edition books, but and then I remember even before 5th edition, like years before that, I remember watching like a documentary or a show or something where they were talking about Dungeons and Dragons, and they said it was like the ultimate mix of like a game and improv. And I was like, that's awesome. It's like a game. You're improving because you're like playing a character and you're doing all of this stuff off the cuff, and you're playing a game. So there's rules. So it's like a rule-based improv game. And I was like, that's awesome. That's what I'm into. So when 5th edition rolled around and it was less rules heavy as 4th edition and more improv like it is, where you're doing a lot more, there's a lot more natural language in the text, I was like, this is going to be great. I'm super into this. And I've played through a bunch of campaigns now since, with other people, with Bob, with Stefano. Did we were in one.
Yeah,
we did
with Mike,
with Joey. Yeah.
Can we just all just acknowledge that CJ has such a way at making a character so unique that it's almost like I feel like I could never create a character as complex as CJ does. It's amazing. they're so unique. There's
Yeah.
no like thing that's
Right.
ever been done
Very
before.
detailed.
What's funny is that like they all have very similar traits to them though, which
Kobold
carries
maybe.
over into a
They're
lot
all
of them.
sort of roguish.
They're all roguish.
Yes.
I do lean towards rogues, but there's always like this like weird thread where like I guess between the last two characters, they both hate kobolds.
Yeah.
But like I've had like they're also always pretty arrogant. Sometimes. So I don't know. That's
You're great, CJ. We love you.
I do want to say on your
Yeah.
point that like 5th edition had a lot more natural language. I think that's very true. It made 5th edition very easy to go into and like digest.
yeah.
But there are some times where
It's
like
also made the
Hmm?
rules. It also has made a lot of the rules a little bit because you're not sure if this is fluff or if this is an actual rule.
yes. Yeah, it's
Real
very-
quick, Andrew, I want to get you in here, and then Dasha. We kind of know yours, but we can recap it. Andrew, when did you start playing D&D?
Okay, so I'm a real big Warhammer 40,000 guy. So I
Yeah.
remember going to the games club. I grew up in Oxford, England. I remember going to the games club when I was in university, and in the corner there used to be the D&D crowd. We used to all play Warhammer, and they used to annoy me so much because they used to laugh and like talk loudly and have so much
How
fun.
dare
And I
they
said,
have fun?
I'm concentrated on my Warhammer. I can't concentrate on my rolls, and it used to annoy me. And it kind of, so I never did D&D. But then I went to the Battle for Salvation Club in 2018, and the guy
By the
was
way,
supposed to
Andrew, you've been a club member for a
over
long
a
time.
decade now, yeah, since
Yeah,
2009.
more than a decade. Yeah.
And the guy I was going to play didn't show up, and I really wanted to play. And Bob was starting Tomb of Annihilation. This is when I met Stefano in
It's my-
2018.
My first campaign as well.
So I just did it because I was there, and I just happened to be sat in the same table as all these people that wanted to play D&D. And it was amazing. It was so cool. And we did all the way through Tomb of Annihilation, and really like Stefano's character in that. It was a great character. So ever since then, I've been #1 D&D fan.
By the way, go ahead, CJ.
No, that was all thanks to me posting.
I was going to say that.
On the was it the Facebook, the meetup,
The meetup,
and like
the
the
Facebook, yeah.
Westchester Geeks meetup,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
like a bunch of places that we were going to have a D&D open house. And if you wanted to come and play D&D, you wanted to learn, we were going to have all the people who wanted to come and learn how to play should
Because
that-
CJ wanted to run
because I wanted to run
Dungeon Heist, Dragon.
Oh yeah,
Dragon
right.
Heist.
Dragon Heist.
I wanted
Right.
to run
Yeah,
Dragon
And
there
we
was
had
two
so
groups, that's
many
right.
people. We had so many people that CJ couldn't take them all, and they needed another dungeon master. I was like, I just finished running a game. I guess I'll run another one.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
So it's very serendipitous. You're right, CJ, because you were.
Yes.
This was all on you.
It was, yeah.
It was your
Wow.
fault.
This
If
is
not
my
for
fault.
CJ, might not have seen that post.
Oh boy! And then Dasha.
Yeah, so I think I've been playing the least out of everyone here. Bob, I don't know if I ever even told you my first ever like exposure to D&D, and it probably wasn't a very good exposure, but
You did.
I was
You
in-
told me.
I don't think I even I don't think I told you the original because I got kind of introduced to it in high school by some people, but they spent more time arguing about how to best teach me how to play than actually helping me play. So I
Perfect
love
way to
those
teach
guys,
somebody.
but they weren't very helpful. But the first time I ever heard of D&D was in 4th grade, and I checked out a random book from the library, and it was about a girl who played D&D, and she got so into it that she started thinking it was real life, and she started doing really dangerous things, and she ends up dying. And it's from the point of view of her classmate who kind of knew her, and she starts retracing her steps based on clues she left in her like adventure notebook. And so in my mind, first of all, I thought D&D was LARPing basically, because I was like, oh, this girl's doing things in real life. And I was like, that sounds like fun, minus the dying part, because I liked fantasy and that kind of stuff. I always did. But I was like in 4th grade, and I was like, I don't know where to even start with this. So I forgot about it. But then in high school, when some friends that I did board games with were like, do you want to play D&D? I was like, yeah. And then it didn't work. But then I started
not
working
tell me this,
with
no.
Bob and Tim as well, who plays on the channel in some other campaigns. And Tim was like, hey, Bob's running a campaign. You should join. And I did. And that was Descent into Avernus, which was really fun.
And actually, I remember that conversation. Stefano I think it was either Stefano and Tim, or maybe just Tim, or you both of you separately. You were like, "Hey, I know we have like 7 people in this campaign, but this other teacher, Dasha, she really wants to play." And I was like, "Does she know how to
I
play?"
know.
And they were like, "No, she's never played before." I was like, "Great, another one."
Oh my god.
I have
Well,
5 people in this campaign that have never played D&D before. Fine, let her in, but no more.
I do want, like, so the story you're referencing that you saw in 4th grade.
Hmm.
So in like the 80s or like early 90s, there was like D&D panic, and a lot of propaganda was made to get people to stop playing
Oh,
D&D, and that
Yeah.
was one of them. So I just want to say, like, anti D&D propaganda got you to play D&D.
Yeah. No, because I read it and my brain didn't go danger. It was like, oh, that sounds like so much fun. I can go climb, because she like climbed into abandoned buildings and like jumped off of heights. And 4th grade Dasha was like, that sounds like a great time.
Don't
Let's
do
do
that.
it. I don't know how to do it, and yeah,
They turned that into a movie with Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
I did not know.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a real, it's legit. I think it's called Dungeons and Mazes or something like that. Mazes and something.
But
There's
you know it's fake, because in reality, the founder would have saved her.
True.
That's true. Lathander would have swooped right in.
So that's good. I'm glad we got a chance to tell everybody. So if you had watched this whole thing, Mazes and Monsters, by the way, Tom Hanks. So I'm glad we got a chance to finally tell everybody about our backgrounds and talk about this wonderful campaign that we made. Unless there are any other questions, I do think we're gonna close it out here. But any last things to say?
CJ,
What?
take it away.
Something I can say there. I'm not sure if there's. I'm not. Is that what am I supposed to be saying?
Oh, look at that.
Like, subscribe, hit the bell. We're over 800. Pretty good.
Yeah,
Don't-
yeah. And
I'm
Share.
looking forward to that 1K special.
Don't just
Yep.
like and subscribe, but also share. Get that number up.
I'm excited to
900.
Yeah.
yeah.
Bob was telling me we're gonna do a 24-hour stream. It's gonna be real fun.
Oh,
Yep. Stefano's
yes.
gonna lead it.
We're gonna do a 24-hour live stream. I'm in.
24-hour live stream. Yeah.
I'm in. Charity stream. I'm in.
Yep.
There we go.
For
Well,
something.
everyone listen up. A couple of things here. Definitely, like you said, like and subscribe to the channel, because I want to keep this going. I have so many ideas for the future here on the channel, of games, of D&D content, RPG content. If you've been following along at all in the community tab on the YouTube channel, I've been asking some questions because I want to do things that people that subscribe like, but also some other ideas for ways to grow the channel. And one of them is, and I'm very excited for this Thursday, I'm starting an interview series here on it's more of a conversation, like kind of what we're doing right now. But Stefano and I actually were able to chat with a fellow YouTuber, Esper the Bard. Esper, for a long time, has been one of my favorite YouTubers for D&D on the platform. And I got a chance to sit down with him. Stefano, playing in his adventure Blood Lament as well, was able to kind of give a little bit of a player perspective, and we kind of discussed all his new things coming out, discussed what the adventure was like, and just life in general. So that interview is called Bob Talks. That's the name of the series, where I talk to people, and I'm going to be talking to him. We recorded it. That's coming out this Thursday at 2 p.m. here on the channel. So make sure you look out for that. I'll be posting about that on Wednesday and Thursday as well. I already did a brief preview of the week one, but join this channel, okay? Subscribe. Make sure that you follow what's going on, because I do have quite a bit of ideas. Like I said, new games. We're definitely gonna get every single person here back on the stream at some point in other projects. We already had some mini series that showcased all of them. So yeah, and thank you to everybody, because this has been such a great experience. It's my first time streaming a campaign, and I couldn't ask for a better group to do with.
Yay.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks
Yeah,
for doing
this is amazing.
this. This is a lot of fun.
Thank you.
And we're
was great.
really excited to see how the channel is going to grow and what's next.
Yeah.
We're going to do a review on The Legend of Vox Machina and how terribly they played D&D. in that show, that cartoon.
Well, I watched the first 2 episodes. It's all right.
Yeah,
Is
I
that
did too.
It was all right. Thank you to all the people in the chat who stuck around for the entirety of the thing. Look, I just happened to get to know some of you. I some of you have your name as your name of your whatever it is, channel, whatever your account. I've gotten to know. I feel like I know a lot of you. Wayne, Brian. There's a bunch more that I'm not gonna, but they're in the chat right now. I'm looking at. But you guys have been great. Everyone that watches the channel kind of gives us, all of us, motivation to keep playing and keep doing the best that we can. And I know for me, there's so much behind the scenes stuff that I'm doing that sometimes I'm up at night and I'm doing another overlay or trying to plan for a session, and I'm like, I see a comment that somebody posted, I'm like, oh, that like really pushed me to go forward. So comment down below, make sure you let us know how you feel about these games. I love to hear it. I love to hear your opinions, your thoughts, so thank you. All right, so we're gonna sign off. Thanks everybody. Sorry I kept you up so late, but this was a really, really fantastic chat. I'm glad we got to do it. There goes CJ again.
No, I really enjoyed this.
Yep.
It was
Yeah.
very cathartic.
It was. Good night, everybody. We close this chapter in Icewind Dale, but we will definitely see you again on the tabletop. Have a great night.
Good night.
All right.